Hello everyone, back to today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather next week. Today's video will take us to around the 22nd of February. In fact, we will cover the period beyond that towards the end of the month. So still quite a lot of uncertainty about what's going to happen into the second half of February. Sudden stratospheric warming is occurring right now. So we've been talking about this a lot in recent days. It's happening as we speak, and the effects of this warming of the stratosphere over the North Pole I think causing a lot of confusion with model output. We're going to see a pattern change. We're going to get much more influence from high pressure, but exactly where that high pressure is going to be sitting is the unknown factor. And the models are having such a hard time at the moment trying to place where these blocks and areas of high pressure are going to be setting up. And it does make a big difference to the weather that we get, because if high pressure is to our north, then we're going to pull down cold northerly or easterly winds. We're going to have a very wintry end to February and extending on into March. If the high pressure is over the country, then it's going to be mostly dry, quite settled, probably cold with frost and fog. If the high pressure is to our south or east, not northeast, not Scandinavia, but let's say the high pressure is sitting somewhere around the Low Countries or Germany or France, then we'll be on the mild side of that ridge and might even have a little taste of spring. So we're talking about the difference between really cold weather or even a taste of spring for the second half of February, and it is very uncertain exactly what's going to happen at the moment. So I'll tell you everything that's going on. The main point is that stratospheric warming is occurring right now as we speak, so I'll talk you through what's happening right now. I'm going to begin by having a look at the temperature in the stratosphere over the North Pole from the JMA website. So you've been seeing this a lot through the past few days. This grey line here is the trend line for the time here in terms of the stratospheric temperatures at 10 HPA, which is one of the top levels of the atmosphere in the stratosphere. The black line is where we've been with the temperatures through this season starting in September. Went very cold with those stratospheric temperatures around the new year. Since then, been a bit up and down, but this is where we are right now. The black line is moving, it's pushing northwards, and we can expect to see this black line continuing to push up over the coming days. Actually, it looks a little bit more dramatic at 30 HPA. That's a little bit lower down in the atmosphere, but the black line is going further at 30 HPA than it is at 10 HPA. So again, that's where we start off with that black line just a couple of days ago. This is where we are right now. The temperature is somewhere around minus 55 degrees. 30 HPA is still very, very cold, but nothing like the minus 75 degrees that we was at just 2 or 3 days ago. And as I say, that black line is going to probably push up even further, getting to that sort of area in the coming days. This is going to split the polar vortex at its roots within the stratosphere, and is going to reverse the zonal winds. And then we can probably start to look out for blocking areas of high pressure to form within the next few days or weeks. And where those blocking areas of high pressure are sitting will be the critical factor. But the stratospheric warming that we've been talking about, the sudden stratospheric warming we've been talking about, is happening right now. It is occurring. So this is how the CT is looking for February. This is provisional up to yesterday, 11th of February, coming out at 3.2 degrees, an anomaly of around 1 degree colder than average. So we've already had a pretty cold February. If we was to get a blocking feature setting up anywhere around Greenland or Iceland or Scandinavia, we could come out with really a very cold February here. But conversely, if we get those milder winds coming up from the south or southwest, then we may finish up with a milder than average February from there. So really, it's a case that February is up the grabs. It's all up the grabs, really, for the second half of February. These are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from the Penn State University website. I've got the ECMDF here on the top, and the GFS, which I'll have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars at 80,000 meters, an area in the atmosphere. High pressure, low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. Red extrapolates to high pressure, blue to low pressure. So the ECMDF has this ridge here. Let's change the colour. Has this ridge here in the 7 to 10 day time frame sitting over the UK. And then we got this trough of below average heights, low pressure is up around Greenland and Iceland. We've also got a blocking feature over top of the pole. Watch out, see if that starts to be strengthened on subsequent model runs. And the jet stream is going through rather like that. So we have got a ridge, but it's not pushing up to the north. It's not going up to there and allowing us to pull down those cold winds from the north or from the east. Just sitting there over country, probably bringing quite a lot of frost and fog, but not tremendously wintry weather. This is the GFS. It's very similar. The ridge is just a little bit more centred to our southeast. Below average heights up to the north. Again, the jet stream is coming through rather like that. So I think we can expect quite a lot of dry weather there. It is a pattern change on what we've had for much of this winter, because we haven't had big areas of high pressure dominating the winter pattern so far. So a pattern change is coming. The position of the ridge means in that situation we're probably dry with frost and fog, almost starting to pull up some milder air from the south into that ridge. But I think we'll need to take the ridge a bit further to the east, actually, to be able to turn things particularly milder. That would still be quite cold, frosty and foggy, but again, not pulling down those northerly or easterly winds. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. Looking at Hereford today. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Hereford. And you can see what's going on in the next few days. So, a bit up and down with temperatures, but overall, to the weekend, we're coming out a little bit colder than average, coming out underneath that red line, so it will continue to be quite chilly. The uncertainty starts over the weekend, particularly around the 18th of February, just there. And at that point, we've got a split between the ensemble members appearing. Now, there are still several ensemble members that are going down to cold, even very cold levels. And the ensemble mean, which is the white line, that continues to be trending colder than average. That's critical. So the GFS ensembles are still on the cold side, and there are several very cold, talking about ice day cold and snow, very cold ensemble members. But we have got these much milder ensemble members that are appearing up here, including this green line just here, and that is the latest GFS operational run, which I'm going to show you. And you can see what's going to happen with that one before I show you it. It's going to be a mild GFS operational run, but you can see how poorly supported the scenario, but I'm going to show you in a moment how poorly supported that scenario is. It's right at the top end of the warmest ensemble members in terms of the upper air temperatures anyway. And do keep in mind the majority of the GFS ensembles are actually on the colder side of things. One change that I think we can be very sure about is that it's going to be drying out. So starting unsettled in the next few days with more precipitation spikes, but as we get through to the final week to 10 days of February, we definitely have a drying trend there. So high pressure will become much more of a factor as we go into the final week to 10 days of February. The position of that high pressure will be critical as to the weather we get from it. Surface temperatures for Hereford looking like that. Generally quite cold in the next few days going up to the weekend. So up to around 17th, 18th of December, we're talking about temperatures hovering around 5 degrees. After that is when we get the split. So it's reflected. We saw it with the upper air temperatures. It's also reflected with the surface temperatures. Several of these ensemble members are up here around 10 degrees Celsius. But several of the ensemble members are down here, which you're talking about temperatures going below -5 at night, probably with ice days included as well. There are more colder ensemble members than there are milder ensemble members. That is something that is critical to keep in mind. Temperature anomalies are looking like that for next week, coming out a little bit colder than average from the 12th through to 20th of February. Precipitation anomalies look like that. Average a little bit drier than average from the 12th to 20th of February. This is how the GFS is looking for Friday. Now, we know this is going to be a milder option. It's just about at the top end of the GFS ensembles in terms of being one of the warmest ensemble members. That's how things are looking on Friday, when we're starting to get more of an influence from high pressure to the south. And that high pressure becomes stronger over the weekend. So there we are by Saturday the 18th of February. That high pressure is sitting right over top of the country. And it will be bringing frost, probably quite hard night frost, and also the risk of icy patches as well. Maybe also with fog. The high pressure continues into the early part of next week. So again, we have more frost and fog, I would have thought, with that. But again, we aren't taking that high pressure to Scandinavia, so we're not taking it up there. We're not taking it to Greenland or Iceland either, which is keeping the high pressure centred over the top of the country. So whilst it would be cold with frost and fog because it's winter high pressure, although daytimes could be fairly pleasant in sunshine, whilst we're not taking that high pressure Scandinavia, we're not talking about anything desperately cold or snowing. And then we keep that high pressure sort of dominating as we go through up to day 10. That takes us to Thursday, 22nd of February. High pressure still in control. The flow's coming up from the southeast, so I assume still quite chilly at the very least, with more frost and fog. In the extended range, we have a go at building a Scandinavian high. It doesn't really come off. Look how cold it is, though, across Scandinavia and northeast Europe. A deep cold pool is lurking, but that high pressure just can't quite get itself into the right position. So we finish up still on the mild side of that ridge with all the cold air over into the east of Europe. But it does have a go at getting that high pressure building. East End looks like that. So again, over the weekend, we're getting more of an influence from high pressure. Takes a little while, but by the time we get through to the early part of next week, we've got high pressure dominating again here, and that's bringing a lot of dry, probably frosty and foggy conditions. That's how we go to day 10, still with high pressure in control, but again, not getting the ridge, not getting the block to Greenland or Scandinavia. So it's chilly and it's frosty, and there's probably fog included, but not bring down particularly wintry weather. CFS V2, however, is really going for a lot of cold weather in the coming months. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period takes us from the 12th through to the 18th of February. The coming week is unsettled with this trough over the country, and we do something rather like that. We know that's right to start off with, but as we get to the weekend, we begin to get more of an influence from high pressure. Now, look what the CFS does for week 2, which is the 19th to 25th of February. Builds a massive blocking feature to our north. And then we've got this trough coming in underneath it. So we're on the cold side of the jet stream. And this block would be bringing us very cold air from the north and from the east. And with that low pressure, with the trough to the south, that would be potentially a very wintry scenario as well. Quite a lot of snow probably included. And then this goes on into week 3. 26th February to the 4th of March, where the block is centred over Greenland with below average heights to our south, to our southeast. So again, we'd be pulling down the air from the north and from the east into that low pressure. Would be cold and wintry into the start of March. And no real change to week 4. This is the 5th to the 11th of March, where the blocking feature persists over Greenland, below average heights across western, northwest parts of Europe. We remain on the cold side of the jet stream. That's a prolonged cold and potentially wintry, even snowy spell of weather there for the second half of February and into March. Temperature anomalies a week ahead are colder than average. Temperature anomalies in week 2 are also colder than average. Temperature anomalies in week 3, so I haven't got week 3, so I can't show you that, but I can tell you that the temperature anomalies for all 4 weeks are coming out substantially colder than average. That's how February looks in terms of the CFS V2 700 millibar height anomaly, with the trough through west of Europe. We're on the cold side of the jet stream, so it suggests cold and wintry conditions continue. Temperature anomalies for the rest of February by CFS V2 being forecast to be colder than average. And this is how March is looking. Thought I just finished with that because it still suggests an ongoing risk of the jet stream being to our south. So below average heights remain to our south. it's suggesting a risk of blocking up there. So the CFS is shifting more and more increasingly to a potentially cold and wintry March as well. Now, obviously, that's all very speculative, and we're going to get the shorter range models to start picking up on the risk of this blocking. But the CFS is really running away with the idea of a prolonged cold spell setting up for the second half of February and running on well into March. However, as we've just seen, the shorter range models, the GFS and the ECMF, are not really playing ball at the moment. But do keep in mind the GFS ensembles are very much suggesting that they're on the colder side of things. So we just have to wait and see a little bit longer. The stratospheric warming is occurring right now. The models are trying to work out the effects of that, trying to place all of the troughs and the blocks and the ridges. So that's what's causing the confusion. But it will all unravel and be revealed over coming days. So keep checking back for more. And we'll see what happens as we get into second half of February. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.